G'day viewers, well, I was using this TV today. Although it works bloody good and the picture's really great. I got the, it's been doing it before and I fixed it before. I had a bit of a black spot coming down the screen like that. It's like a black, the guns weren't shooting this part of the phosphor of the screen. It's actually, although it's a pretty good TV, it's a PYE. Technically it's a Philips, but it uses crappy brand electrolytic capacitors. So I think what it is, I've actually changed some of them out, and actually the problem went away, so there might be a little bit more in there that may have dried out. This is a 1981 model. It's one of the, when the infrared remote controls started coming out, so. The CRT has a very tiny bit of wear in it, but other than that, it's got plenty of life left in it. I've done videos on this before where I took the anode cap off and re-glued it, but that was in one of my earlier videos. Like when I first started YouTube. Because there's these PYEs, I'll take the cover off and I'll show you. Had a lot of had problems with corona around the anode cap. They kept coronaing and you hear hissing all the time. But they've since fixed that and commenced recapping this. It's actually quite a good TV. I like how they set the chassis out, very easy to service. There you go, you can see it's very nicely set up. A, B, C, D and E. Categorised different parts of the functions of the TV. You've already seen the fly back in this. I've done videos on this before for high voltage run rules. So originally, when it was hissing, before I found out that was hissing, I thought the flyback was arcing over in corona, but it's not. That's actually quite fine. As you can see, I've had to pull the anode cap off. That was only barely holding on, so surprising it's actually getting good high voltage connection. All this dust had moisture, trapped moisture. I had to put some sort of grease on here from factory to try and seal corona. And over time that grease breaks down, it absorbs all the moisture, and all this dust connected to this shield was shorting out and causing hissing. It's just a constant hiss every time this TV was on, like a gas leak or something. So I pulled this off, got rid of all the old glue, polished this all up with some terps to get the old glue off, and cleaned it with methylated spirits and buffed it dry so it wouldn't leave any flammable residue behind. And there's some black elastic gasket cement, or just black silicone in there. And now this thing is so quiet, not one noise comes from it. It's a very quiet running TV. It's a Philips CRT, made in Taiwan. It's got these Philips brand capacitors. So the ones I'm thinking are bad are this Orient brand. There's a no-name Orient brands, and yeah, a couple of these are actually dried out. There's one here, some have already changed. I think it was this one. Can't remember now. The big filter cap's a Nichicon. These ones here should be okay because they're Philips. There's a focus control. That one is a Nichicon, I think. I'll get my ESR meter out and double check that they're all okay. Here we are, that's the one I changed there. This little card that slides out, which is a line drive. I might as well change all these actually. Yeah, they're not very good, these ones. Based on this one here I removed. It was so badly dried out that only one of the leads was connected. The other lead actually corroded off, so I can I'll probably start with these little cards, pull these cards out and start recapping from there on. That one there's a second-hand cap. That came out of an old cassette player. It's a 16 volt. 100. I think it's a 1000 microfarad 16 volt. You see the way I soldered it. I pulled this board out and improved my soldering. I did that quite a while ago actually. A play set, but it's got these good Philips capacitors in it. I really like how they modulated these old TVs. Now I think that's the that's the sound. Chroma RGB. This is the sound here. And there's the amplifier it uses a TDA 2611AQ audio amplifier. It's got another one there. TBA 120U. Yeah, okay. Looks pretty damn simple in here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Orient, 6, 7. 7 of those Orient brand caps I could check, because after seeing the state that first one was in, doesn't look too promising for these ones. So I'll get my spares out and start replacing them. Okay, if you always want to solder this, I never pulled this board out. I did it as a TV sat there. Obviously it was discharged and everything, safety first, but I never pulled this board out. I had to squeeze my soldering iron in there. As you can see, I didn't do a very good job, so I'll just retouch that up, and this will be fine. This is actually a Rubicon capacitor. I've tested that in my ASR meter, and it's pretty well damn spot on. It's got a very low ASR, so that one is actually quite good. I'll check this one here as well. This is it's got the mains connected to that one. What's that one there? It's a Orient brand. 470 microfarad, 35 volts. I'll give that an ESR test, just while the soldering iron's warming up. Gotta be careful with these older circuit boards too. For these old Phillips, so the traces actually can come off if you solder them too much very easily. So you be very careful with these. This actual style of swing out chassis was used from the I think the Phillips K9 onwards. You used this sort of a setup, set that folded out that way. There was 2 holes at the board that folded out like cupboard doors. Now, based on my research, the Phillips K9 was the first colour TV that came out here, as well as New Zealand. It was obviously would have been made probably the same place this was. This one here is actually a Taiwanese made TV. Even today it's still a pretty damn good TV, better than some modern ones I've seen. That's the input for standby. I've got a transformer, some filter caps. That obviously powers this remote control circuit. That's your standby circuit there, infrared receiver. But unfortunately the original remote control is long gone. Now batteries corroded than that. I think it was some time in the early 90s or mid 90s it happened, so unfortunately I haven't got the remote to it anymore. But there's the actual date, manufacture date, 3rd of the 8th, 81. And I've got the original VCR that came with that TV when they bought it. It's given to me by our neighbours. Give me this. It's good, and I was able to keep the original VCR that came with this TV when they bought it when no one knew. I got the stand for this too. It's a little steel stand on caster wheels. I kept that. Anyway, let's finish this soldering off. Okay, well that one there tested 569 microfarads at 0.13 ohms. And that was this Orient capacitor here, so that one there still seems to be okay. So I've actually corrected my solder. It looks a lot better now. It's actually melted and flowed properly. I've got a bad connection there, which is on that resistor. There you go. Not much solder on that. I better fix that. I just noticed that. I'll give this board a bit of a touch up, because I would tap the TV and I get a vertical collapse briefly and it will come back. So I've pretty much nailed most of the problems in this TV when I tap it. It's a good way to test with old TVs. Give them a tap, and if anything twitches, you know you got some dry joints in here. 1 microfarad 50 volt capacitor, that's what I measured. Yeah, I might just change it anyway, I think. It's quite a small one, that probably wouldn't take long to dry out at all actually. Being for 1981. That's a Matsushita Panasonic capacitor. Yeah, I'll change it anyway, just for the hell of it. Good thing I got that ESR meter. I'll change that capacitor, that way it's all refreshed. And that is the supply somewhere. 6 volt standby goes to one of these little connectors here. So as part of the standby circuit, this board here is. Colour-coded capacitor. Instead of having numbers on it, they're colour-coded. It's got Matsushita resistors on it too, Panasonic resistors. Alright, let's see if I've got a spare for that cap. I think I have. I'll check the other one. Okay, viewers, here's the original capacitor. And yeah, judging by the beep this thing made, it says in the book that's not very good. 5 ohms. This one here I replaced it with, the Nichicon was much lower than that. and it was okay, so yeah, good thing I changed it. Microfarad reading wasn't too bad, but the ESR was a bit off, so yeah, I'll pop that one. I'll make a little container for the old ones that don't read properly. I'll pop them. I'll check this other one here. It's a 4.7 microfarad 50 volt matcher sheeter. Give that a bit of a check. Okay, viewers, it turns out this capacitor is actually open circuit. 100 microfarad 35 volts. See the bottom's all bulged out a bit there. Bit of corrosion and oozage. So I'll place it with a 50 volt 100 microfarad. You can go a little bit higher in voltage. That's an A, just got a letter A in it. Don't know what brand it is, but it tested very good in the ESR meter, so that's its replacement. Another thing you want to take note of, especially with vintage TVs, take note of this. A live chassis can kill you. So always discharge a CRT and be aware of your capacitors. And take note that if you're a live chassis, never ever working it while it's on, unless you're highly competent. Especially with valve TVs. So take note, some have live chassis, if not most have a live chassis, so that means this is live. So that's a bit of a safety precaution anyway. I'll let this, I'll commence this later on. I've got some other, gotta help me old man now, so. Gotta laugh out of this circuit board. It tells you what the voltages are. Really nice. It tells you what pin what component gets what voltage, so you can do your testing, be able to check whether stuff's getting the right voltage. Sound out, 20 to 26 volts at that point there, which is on that resistor. I've noticed this tone resistor has actually been snipped from the factory. They've actually cut that out of the circuit. So the tone must have been too low or something. So they cut that out to fix the sound quality up. Interesting. Okay, viewers, so these two capacitors are actually open circuit, both of them. And there's little ones. A couple of these little Panasonics had really high ESR and were leaky. So I placed all those. This thing should work quite well now. All the other capacitors checked out to be okay, so that'll be enough for now. I'll power this thing up and give it a test in part 2, so thanks for watching.